I'm gonna talk like this unless Jason lets me play Diablo 2 the whole time.
I want you to talk like that and play Diablo 2. You're allowed to play Diablo 2 if you talk like that.
This is acceptable terms.
Wake up, everybody. Today is Thursday, October 28th, and we are Never Free to Play, a podcast where we talk about all the video games we wish we were playing. I'm one of your hosts, Karch Palashti, joined by my co-hosts, Sean Mybers, Jason Wright, and Dr. Brockledurk. If you decide you like us and want to see some truly horrifying content, subscribe to us on YouTube and podcast services, or find us on Twitter where we are at Never Free to Play. If you have comments, questions, thoughts, ideas, feedback, please send it to us at neverfreetoplay@gmail.com. I don't have any excuses this week. I messed it up. I'm sorry. Speaking of horrifying content, Halloween is this Sunday. This is our last podcast before Halloween comes, and then the good stuff starts. I don't like Halloween. It's not really my thing. But we're going to do the usual trick-or-treating thing, see the parents, go around, try to turn in early-ish. It is a Sunday night after all. But does anybody have any interesting Halloween plans?
So Katie and I will sit out and on our driveway, and she likes to make up a bunch of Jell-O shots, and we give them out to the parents. And my neighbor sits out with like 2 large coolers full of beer and also various bottles of whiskey that he will also give out to the parents. So we're a very popular cul-de-sac for people to come.
Sounds excessive. I don't know. Sounds excessive. You can't just drunken trick-or-treating sounds dangerous.
So. Yeah. I'm against anything that doesn't involve us drinking with Sean.
Wow. Never been so offended. Also, I'm not trick-or-treating. I'm just sitting there. So
you will be once you start drinking too much. You're gonna see everybody else. And you won't be able to stop yourself.
I mean, I will be dressed up with my Mass Effect hoodie on.
Nice. Jason, you guys do anything? Little Luke?
Nothing special. Yeah, we're gonna take him out to a couple houses. We're dressed up like a ghost family, and then probably just come home and hide in our house, pretend like we're not here. Just put a bowl of candy out on the front porch and make some chili and watch some Halloween movies, and that's it. Pretty boring around here. But I might have one of these new drinks that I learned about today on Reddit, and it's called I don't know how to pronounce it. It's like Calimoco or something like that. It's a Spanish drink. It is 50% cheap red wine, 50% Coca-Cola, and a splash of lemon. And it tastes exactly like sangria. It's wild stuff.
Like when I learned how to make Baja Blast at home.
Yeah,
man. I wish you the best of luck with this.
I had one tonight. It was decent.
But this is my skeptical phase.
Yeah, just get regular sangria.
It tastes
right. You can just buy bottled sangria.
No. I have all this stuff already here, and one glass of this is only 84 calories.
I'm going to tell Rachel, and she's going to be really gross because she loves sangria. It's like the only alcoholic beverage she actually truly enjoys every time she has it. And she's going to be really mad that you made it that way.
I cannot wait to hear.
And my mom.
Reaction.
My mom is a huge sangria fan. I'm going to tell her this disgusting concoction.
It's also
probably pronounced calimocho. They don't do that. They don't do that with the CH.
Well, I'm sure. Yeah, I don't know how it's pronounced. Like I said,
I was just giving you some advice. That's all. Oh, I see. Well, then now you've made me feel stupid, and we're moving on.
No. I don't know, man.
Oh, that is much more complicated.
It's KALIMOTXO. Now, granted, I got that off.
Me?
What?
Can you do that phonetically for me?
He doesn't know, though. That's the problem.
I don't know.
He can't. He can't do it.
But this came off of Wikipedia, so it could be totally fake. I don't know.
It came off of Reddit, so it is definitely fake.
Yeah. Well, no, the drink's real. Anyway, honestly, it tastes like very cheap sangria, but it's passable.
I don't know. Robert gave it a thumbs down with his voice. So
okay, well, that's all I had.
Robert, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good.
Talking to us with that sweet new microphone.
That's right.
Oh,
He's joined the big boy club. He's got a real mic. It's shiny.
Does that light up on the back?
Yes.
Okay, I like that.
Yeah, it looks real cool. You'll see eventually.
Oh yeah, I'll see it. Like, subscribe, follow. Do it on YouTube, do it on Twitter, do it on any podcast service ever.
Why don't we do it in the road?
Do it on the street.
Because we're
in
not
the
there.
Streets.
That's not where we are.
Right.
No one will be watching us because we won't be there.
So yeah, do that. Subscribe. We are at Never Free to Play on all social media platforms, but we only are active on Twitter and only sometimes.
Really
because
rarely. The last tweet I
Very
made
rare.
was about how much I liked Tails, and it turns out I didn't like Tails very much.
Well, Tails in Sonic.
No, Tales of Arise.
Oh, that's right.
Do you not remember the 30 minutes of me typing out in our chat?
We'll get there.
Oh, no,
we'll
no,
get
no,
there. We're interrupting the
remember that.
housekeeping.
I remember. Yeah, stop interrupting housekeeping. We're gonna stream sometimes. Sometimes we're gonna do podcasts. This is 2 podcasts in a row. That's unprecedented. For the last 6 months. That's it. Go check out some lo-fi reviews because those are nice little chill lo-fi beats over us talking and playing through games, which is pretty cool. And then Sean put out episode 19 of Final Fantasy VII.
It's very good.
Karch, are you a slacker? Did you put anything out?
Of course not.
No. Okay. And that's it. Oh, what is this note you have here, Sean?
So you're saying we got two weeks of podcasts in a row. We're gonna make it 3 because next week we'll actually be doing it a day early instead of our normal dropping it on or not next week, but when this comes out a week later on November 7th, which is N7 Day, I'll be dropping Karch's and I's Mass Effect spoiler cast, or at least part 1 with part 2 to follow the day after.
It's very long,
3 hours total. Get ready.
Yeah. I was gonna say, you're doing part 1 and 2, just clustered?
I'm gonna drop part 1 on Sunday because that's November 7th, and then and then on November 8th I'll drop part 2.
Sweet, love it.
Depending on how my free time goes, I may get some additional Mass Effect content out that week.
Ooh, that'd be cool. Got shout outs to nobody except for Crimson Karma. He's the only one who loves us, and Josh, because Josh also listens. Kane, I've given up on you. I don't think you listen anymore.
He doesn't. He's given up on you.
That's all I have.
All right. So, Jason, what you been playing?
I honestly only Back for Blood. That's the only game that I've played. I've played one night of Back for Blood with Tyler, and I will say really not much more than what we already talked about, but it is fun to get partied with randos. And they actually are active on chat.
Mm-hmm.
This is the game where you kind of have to communicate a little bit sometimes.
Right.
And so we actually have met some pretty cool people on there the last few times.
Awesome. I didn't expect you to say anything, so that was a pleasant surprise. We're gonna move through pretty quick through these because we don't have a lot, except for Sean, and we're gonna save him for the end. I haven't been playing much. I'm definitely not playing Tales of Arise anymore. I got to the halfway-ish point. I think we talked about that last time. I was not enjoying myself as I continued to play for the next half hour, and I pulled the plug and said, "Sean, spoil me on the ending, so I don't feel like I have to finish this." And he did, and I think I dodged a bullet. Overall,
I think.
Yeah,
I don't think you dodged a bullet, Karch. Sean took a bullet for you.
That's really what it was, yes. Sean dove in front of it and got 2 in the butt cheeks just for me. We talked about our thoughts and opinions on that last week, so if you want to get our lukewarm takes on Tales of Arise, you can go listen to last week's episode. But I am still hopeful that the next one will be better. It just, it largely just depends on the pacing of the story. Like a lot of JRPGs, they think they're so important, they think they're so special, and they have to last 700 hours, but they don't. They could be really good if they were just 35 total, with a couple extra for side content. But no, they want to be really, really long for no reason. Anyway, yeah, that's all I've been playing for the most part. I did start Final Fantasy XIV. See how far I get into that.
Down the rabbit hole on that one?
Down the rabbit hole.
Have fun.
My character's name is Alexi Armstrong. I modeled him after Alexi Armstrong from Full Metal Alchemist. So he's this tall, mostly bald blonde man with a giant mustache, dead eyes, and he punches stuff. So I'm having a lot of fun doing that. Robert, nice. What have you been playing?
I have been playing Deathloop.
How is it?
Oh.
Amazing.
Cool.
It is amazing. They really knocked the storytelling out of the park with integrating it into the gameplay. Very good production overall.
Are you still playing it?
How far into
I
it
actually
are you?
I just beat it.
Awesome.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I expected a little more at the end. It was one of those things that it's like a 30-second clip it gives you no matter which ending you get. And I'm a little spoiled from our old-timey nostalgic games where you play through the whole game, you're getting rewarded with a good cinematic. So,
Right. Yeah. I mean, and what they showed leading up to it, all the promotional material, what I've seen, and people talk about it, videos, blah 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 blah. I would have expected, a fairly meaty ending, but I guess not. Short and sweet.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's still good.
If I recall, that's kind of how Dishonored. I mean, there wasn't anything crazy after you beat the last. They wrapped up the story, but it wasn't. And that's still, it's Arcane made Deathloop, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
So, I mean,
Okay, they can do new
gameplay-wise,
things.
top notch. That's what you're saying.
It's almost like I consider it's like the backswing of your game, right? You gotta plan on the back end after your most exciting parts, or it's just kind of
Yeah.
Well, you figure, I mean, that's always a frustrating thing with a game that doesn't land the ending is that's your final, the final bit of taste that you have of that game. And if they don't stick the ending, yeah, it could have been great, but it'll leave that sour taste in your mouth.
Yeah.
So I don't like to use numbers when I score games. I have my patented Karch Palashi game ranking system. I won't get into the details right now, but there are a lot of people who are like, this is a 10 out of 10 game. Like, surprisingly, in my opinion, at least, like there are a lot of perfect, quote unquote, perfect scores given to this game. And that's fine. They can do that. If that's what they think, that's whatever. But like, do you think that's a little overblown or?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah. It's I think the 10 is because this is in my opinion, because this is subjectively my first next gen quote unquote game.
That's true.
So I think people are taken with that. I think that's the 10 out of 10. Yeah. I would only rate it 7 out of 10. Maybe 8 if I'm feeling real generous.
And I would ask too, does it feel next gen?
It's hard to piece apart what I see next gen as from like my enamoringment at my fancy new glowing computer that Sean I'm sure can relate to.
Final question. What did you play it on?
My computer, my RTX 3060 new gaming rig.
Sweet. Cool.
Nice.
Oh, that's right. Because next gen, you don't have a PS5.
Right.
Cool. All right. Anything else?
Old Diablo, but
yes,
I've been in that forever, and I will be in that forever.
Are you playing it more on the Switch or your PC? Or you
Switch now. Switch now.
And it's really nice there.
Oh, I love it even more than the PC actually because I can play it in bed.
Cool. I'm going on vacation early December, and I'm probably gonna pick it up for that, so I can play it, in the hotel and stuff when we're not going about doing our thing.
I will say the bullcrap part of it is that you cannot play Diablo 2 online if you don't have a Nintendo Online subscription.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is the case with any paid game. If it has online support, you have to do the thing. I do,
but
for what
not
it's worth.
Diablo 3.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
I can play Diablo 3 completely online, and it doesn't have a problem. Mm-hmm.
Huh.
I wonder if it got grandfathered in somehow because it was actually.
I wonder
D3 was on
if
the
Diablo 3
sorry,
predates the NSO.
It does. It definitely does. It was It was actually a fairly early game for the Switch in general. Like they got that thing on there fast when the getting was good early on when everyone wanted to Switch. So that's probably what it is. But that's good news for me when I get it eventually.
Yeah.
All right, Sean. Sean, what have you been playing on?
I have been playing on my brand new personal computer. Incidentally, it's the first PC I've ever owned.
Very cool. Very cool.
Nice.
I'm very.
That's me applauding.
I was extremely. So I bought this over the weekend. And it's a CyberPower PC. It was one of those, hey, we've already put this together. If you order it, it'll ship out within a day. So I got my CPU's an AMD Ryzen 7 5800X, and I got a GeForce 3060 Titanium.
Nice.
So yeah, certainly for me, it's obviously way more powerful than playing games on my Surface laptop. And I mean, I haven't gotten to play a ton on it. So I got it. It got here Wednesday night. So yesterday I got home and I did manage to hook it up. But by the time I got hooked up and downloaded SWTOR onto it, it was time to go to bed. I got up this morning and tried to pull over the SWTOR and it kept crashing. And so I got home today and spent several hours troubleshooting it. And finally figured it out. It was the after updating the GPU driver and troubleshooting a bunch of other and updating Windows and troubleshooting a bunch of other things. I was like, I wonder if it's the CPU driver. And lo and behold, because I went and looked at my crash logs and kept seeing AMD listed in some of the file paths and got that sucker working. So I think I got this stable and working. I played about 20 minutes of SWTOR without it crashing. And I am excited. It's got a nice tempered glass side, so I'm staring at it and being dazed by its glorious LED, hypnotic lights.
What color are they? Are they multicolor? Is it a single color?
They are cycling through colors.
Nice, very cool.
So
A lot of people crap on pre-builts because they're elitists and gatekeepers, but I think it's a really good way to go, especially right now. And I will say a lot of them look very pretty.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
Yeah,
that makes it
good.
a decent deal too. If I'm not mistaken, we don't have to talk about exact prices. We don't have to air our financial dirty laundry.
Yeah,
but...
I mean, if you price this out, I on the prices alone, I saved a handful of hundreds of dollars compared to buying the parts individually.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the thing's got. I mean, I've got growth potential in it too. Like I definitely have room to upgrade RAM and upgrade space and so, and I got plenty of room in the case too for that type of stuff. So.
You've officially left me in the dust. I'm now the owner of the weakest PC out of the four of us.
And Karch won't let me pawn my crappy
Shame.
old computer off on him. He
I
won't. He
won't?
won't bite. No.
Oh.
I keep
Shame.
offering it.
I literally don't remember that at all. We might have to have a conversation after this.
Yeah, you can totally Frankenstein my computer. No one else is going to use any of the parts in it. Or you could just take the whole thing because we're not using it. So yeah.
I might take that processor.
By all means.
I think the important thing for me is right now I'm going to be playing SWTOR on this thing
Right.
and getting it set up to. The nice thing is with my wife's in grad school, so she needs the laptop a lot for her grad school. So this decouples her playing grad school and me wanting to either edit content or play SWTOR.
Mm-hmm.
But the big question has to be is how long before no one hears from me again because I'm playing modded Skyrim.
We'll have a special episode dedicated to we'll make your play order. We'll get a short list of games that you need to play on PC, and none of them will be Skyrim. And we'll make you Eagle Scout swear or something like that. That's important to you, right?
Yeah, it still is very important to me. Yes.
Swearing an eagle.
We'll just get a real eagle, like it's just holding it. It's like I swear, don't bite me, I swear. So much eagle.
So much felony.
It depends. Surely it depends. Look, there's got to be an unprotected eagle out there somewhere, right?
I mean, that's true. Certainly not bald eagles.
No. We would never do that.
We may be able to find like a golden eagle that's
blue-blooded
we may be okay
Americans.
there.
We love our bald eagles and their derpy faces. Yeah. We'll just pick a turkey off of my yard. We're like, here, swear on this turkey.
Do you get turkeys in your yard?
I've gotten up to 11 turkeys in my yard before.
Where do they come from?
There are cypress preserves all around. There's a very large one, kind of like, I don't know, a quarter mile behind my house. There's this big nature trail for bike thing, mostly biking and walking, but it goes a fair way into the county.
Are they aggressive at all?
No.
They're very docile.
They're turkeys, yeah.
Are they protected, or can you eat one for Thanksgiving?
Oh my gosh, that joke is so tired. I hate that joke so much.
I'm being serious.
I know, well, about the protected part, I'm sure, but no, I'm not going to go shoot no turkeys in my yard to then take and do something like pluck and... I'm assuming they're protected. I'm assuming I'm not allowed to hunt and kill animals for
your
sport.
property. Stand your ground.
Stand my ground against the turkeys.
You have to sometimes. That's why I asked if they were aggressive.
They are
I know
not.
the law. I'm a bird law graduate.
Yeah. Last time I checked, that is exactly the case. All right, now it's time for our topic of the show. This topic was brought to you by Sean Mybers, and because it was brought to you by Sean Mybers, he's going to go ahead and drive the show from here. So take it away, Sean.
All right.
Mybers.
So, thanks. As we know, early November last year. So November 10th we got the Xbox Series X and S, and November 12th we got the PlayStation 5. So we've had these next gen consoles for about a year now, and I have to at least feel like this doesn't feel like past console generation jumps. And so I have to ask you guys, do you feel like this there's something different and either disappointing or just off about this console generation? And so I want to talk about that, and I want to talk about how you feel about what are we on, the 7th generation of video game consoles?
I think it's 8, isn't it?
8th? I don't know.
Something like that. That number doesn't mean much
that
anymore. Before we do that, though, I just thought, I was trying to think, when was for each of us, when was the last generation you were like a part of when the jump happened? So like day one or close to, like, you know, Sean and I, we got our respective Xbox and PS5 pretty soon after it was launched. I'm pretty sure Robert got like a 360 when it launched. So that kind of thing. I got a Wii, you know, the day one. And that's my answer personally, is the Wii was the last time before this time that I was actually part of a new gen. And I remember being super excited, but that's as detailed as I could tell you. But I was also still really young. I was still in high school, so everything was exciting in high school.
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I got the Wii and I got the GameCube before that, pretty close to release, if not like right at release. And the big thing I remember about both of those was I bought the console being super excited about some of the games on the console, because the Wii, I got Metroid Prime 3 Dread, I think it was a launch title, or not Dread, Corruption, and then Twilight Princess had its, you know, launched with the Wii, you know, which admittedly was a cross-gen release. And then I just remember being super excited for the GameCube because Rogue Squadron 2, Rogue Leader, which is still one of the best Star Wars games of all time.
It's very good.
And that,
for me, I actually purchased the last 2 gens day one. So, or not day one, but within the launch window. I got a PS4 when Infamous Second Son came out. So the PS4 came out in November of 2013, and then March 2014 was Infamous Second Son. And I just remember Greg, my brother, had a PS4, and he's like, Jason, you've got it. Like, even if you don't love this game, it's got pretty good combat, and the lighting effects are incredible. You could see the reflection of like the moonlight rippling on the water, like the city of Chicago, beautiful. And I was really stoked because I mean, it had been 7 years since we've had a new console, and I wanted to see how far everything came. So I was really excited for that. And then Oculus Quest 2, actually, I bought that one on release. I
stand by that VR headsets are not consoles.
Okay, that's fine. And then my graphics card, my 3070, I sharked that thing within 2 months of release. So.
That's true. I forgot about that. That was a fun little roller coaster. Every week we were talking about that.
So I mean, I'm kind of impulsive. I can't help myself.
There's a topic here I want to touch on. Before I do, I want to give Robert a chance to talk about him getting next gen. You know, basically upgrading a gen in a timely manner.
I think gosh, the PS4, were the PS4 and the 360 contemporaries?
No, the 360 was contemporaries with the PS3.
Got it. Then I would say the PS4 was the last one I was like actually into. That I was, because I got that big, yeah, PS4. That's probably it for me.
So, because Jason and I both touched upon this, which is we bought a next gen because we were super excited for the games.
Yes.
And that's the big thing I have to feel about this gen is Robert talked about Deathloop, which Amelia came out this year. So a year into the release, where are the next gen games? And there's, I'll let you guys talk about Sony, but I, as the Xbox Series S owner, there's nothing.
No.
There's no next gen for Xbox consoles right
What are you
now.
talking about? You had the Medium. You didn't love the Medium, Sean?
Is that series only?
Oh, it was,
the only exclusive Xbox.
All right.
Yeah.
I cannot claim to have played the Medium, and I can also claim to have completely forgot that it existed.
I think it's on PC/PlayStation now, but at its launch
PC,
title.
yes.
Yeah.
Oh, I played 10 minutes of it.
How was it? Real quick.
Fun. I mean, it was a little corny, but still fun.
Okay.
You know, good graphics, but eh.
But like, even like go back to the Xbox One, like where like you had that Rise Son of Rome, which is not a good video game, but it was like the marquee. This is showing you what a next gen game is that's going to come out the next gen consoles. That's gone. We don't have that.
Yeah.
Like,
I would agree with that. Yeah, because even Deathloop, like I am a special case because I went from my old PS4 stuff straight into next gen like computer, so I feel like I had a bigger graphics jump. Yeah. But that being said, like it's still like the other games presented a completely new something. Like Jason was saying, whether it was graphics, whether it was something with the gameplay, it was innovational, right? These new games, while I do notice a very, beautiful uptick in graphics and ray tracing and the AI assisted whatchamacallit, it's all great, but it really does just feel like a 0.5 jump, not a full next gen.
Yeah, that's something I had noted. To your point, I think as these console upgrade cycles become more iterative and you do get that jump, even intergenerational, like the PS4 to the PS4 Pro, and not only that, but the development becomes more scalable. I think those jumps just will be less noticeable, and that's just how it's going to be from now on. I don't think you're ever again going to get that leap from the Super Nintendo to the N64. That moment where you're like, holy crap, Mario's in 3D. In order to get that same effect, you're going to have to look for other technologies like VR.
That's what VR always wants to be, right? It wants to be the 2D to 3D equivalent jump. And
it's trying.
It hasn't been able to pull it off.
It is. It's just not as compelling, unfortunately, at the end of the day.
Yeah. It's just not as accessible.
I'll be the dissenting opinion in that none of you have a PS5 except for me. None of us have one except for me. Yes, haha. Lord, let me lord it over you. which I guess I did. I got that. That was a miracle that I got that.
That was amazing.
They're still looking for them. But I guess this might sound a little like a cop out, but it comes with a pack-in. It comes with Astrobot Rescue. No, not Rescue Mission. That was the other one. Astrobots Playroom. And it's a demo game, and you can literally platinum the whole thing in probably like 3 hours. Mm-hmm. But it is a showpiece graphically, but more so it's a showpiece for the controller and what the DualSense can do. And it's possible we never get a game that utilizes the DualSense like Astrobots Playroom does, and that would be really sad. But we could, and Horizon might be that game. I think Horizon. Yeah. What's it called?
Yeah,
Forbidden West.
There's indications with that, yeah.
Right. And so like I'm looking forward to that largely into the DualSense, but like I mean that's not going to be some people's jam, and normally wouldn't have been mine. I would not have put a lot of stock in that until I got it in my hands and I played with it, and it's hard to convey, much like VR and anything with tactile feedback, how much fun and how much it adds to immersion, etc. But on top of that, you guys talk about, oh yeah, the lighting's better. The lighting is amazing. The lighting in this gen. And yeah, PC has ruined this. Like when everybody also has a PC, and PC has almost every game except for like certain exclusives for Nintendo and Sony, you're always going to see a slightly better version than you saw on the consoles. But if we're talking strictly just consoles, as someone who played the crap out of their PS4 and then immediately jumped into the PS5 and got to play Astro and Returnal and Final Fantasy VII Remake with the new PS5 patch upgrade stuff to it, I'm seeing a difference, and I'm feeling a difference. 60 FPS is nothing to sneeze at, especially when you go right back to 30 and you're like, what's wrong with this game? It feels broken now. The fact that it feels broken means that this generation jump is pretty significant in my opinion.
Well, and maybe that's part of the a good point to make here, which is historically generation jumps have been about better kind of raw graphics. The polygon count has increased, and I think we're largely seeing that. Whether because the additional polygons just doesn't have the return, for lack of a better term, return on investment it used to, and B, the fact that that's making things cost a lot to keep upgrading the polygon density. Mm-hmm. Instead of that usual sign of improvement between generations, we are seeing these other things. We are seeing games that easily run. I mean, I will admit, even on the Xbox Series, I tell you what, that solid state drive for really
It's
not
awesome.
being that
So good.
is awesome. Oh my god, it is glorious to sit there and load times that used to be a minute are like 2 seconds. FPS boost, which is Microsoft has been doing a fantastic job on older games. To go back and play a game with double the FPSs. Like I may not notice have a good eye for 10K to or 1080 to 4K, but I noticed 30 FPS to 60 FPS. You're right, and so maybe we're seeing a little more nuance in what it means to be next gen, vice what we're used to.
Yeah.
Right. And I will say, I think the PS4 tapped out. And if I'm not mistaken, the PS4 was on the weaker side. Both the PS4 and the Xbox One, compared to their previous consoles, were on a little bit the weaker side. I think the PS5 and Xbox Series are a little bit beefier by comparison when you compare them to their previous consoles. Like, I think the gap is bigger. Still not huge. It's not SNES to 64. But when I play even Returnal, like, this game looks really good. But it is just who made that got bought. I've already forgotten their names.
Start with an A.
No, it does not start. Whatever. Anyway, it's made by a team that had never made a game on this scope before.
Yeah.
And it looks good. Looks really good, actually. Housemarque, thank you. What happens when Naughty Dog gets their hands on it, or we see Insomniac's Wolverine like 4 years from now? It's gonna look really, really good. The potential has not been tapped in these yet. So in some respects, yes, I do agree with you guys. Like, the leap isn't there, but like, give it time, and I think we will see some really, really amazing stuff.
Well, do you think so normally we get a game that does that jump on graphics?
Correct.
Do you think the reason we haven't seen that, do you think is that the developers aren't ready to make that jump, whether because of, I mean, let's go. I think there's a large chunk to do with the fact that the installed base for the previous generation dwarfs the installed base of any past generation.
For sure.
I think so too. I think a lot of these people knew that, well, not only would you have supply chain problems, with COVID, just the install base alone is worth making it a cross-gen game when you're putting all these resources into trying to make a game for a new console. So I think some people are probably trying to honestly recoup some of their non-recurring engineering cost of developing on the new consoles by making it cross-gen, which just innately will bring down the performance of the game on the next-gen console because you're having to compensate.
100 million units. It's hard to say no to those.
Right.
Yeah. And so
also, go ahead. Sorry. Okay.
No, go ahead, because you're on the topic. I was getting ready to move on.
Oh, okay. All I was going to say is, along with some of these graphical improvements that we have seen, even if they're not as great of a leap as we would have wanted or, whatever. One thing that's also evolved with this generation that I'm really excited about is the monetization strategy. I know that kind of sounds lame, but you see like, you've got these game streaming services. I can't wait to see the evolution of Game Pass, hardware like the Steam Deck, VR becoming more mature and mainstream. And then today's announcement but kind of leak that Sony's changed their developer name on the back end to be PlayStation PC instead of PlayStation Mobile. So are they maneuvering to release some of their older games on exclusive games onto PC? And I think they see that market opportunity and that and like you said, that install base, and why shouldn't we be a part of that? So as these companies become more competitive and they want to get a leg up, they make a little bit of a consumer friendly concession, and then everybody else has to as well.
Well, it's interesting you say that. So, Microsoft has, I think, kind of driven this. Microsoft we're going to put everything on PC, had, I think, driven Sony to do this. And so, I mean, let's face it, for years it was use your exclusives, get and get consumers in your ecosystem and get them buying on your ecosystem. And we may be seeing that starting to break down a bit.
I think so. Who's the CEO of PlayStation? It's
Jim Ryan.
Yeah, Jim Ryan. He was quoted as saying, I think they're using this as breadcrumbs. We're going to put our PS4 game. He did not say this explicitly, but he alluded to, we're going to put our PS4 games, our best PS4 games, onto PC. That is the breadcrumb to get you into the IP. I go in there, I play Horizon Zero Dawn on PC. I'm like, holy cow, I need to play that next game. I got to buy a PS5 because it's going to be exclusive for now. I don't see them putting out their newer games on there on PC, but I think they'll use the older ones as the breadcrumbs to get you hooked to come in and buy.
In some respects, they already are because, well, no, because they're not doing their brand new stuff on PS now. So,
right.
I'll be willing to go with devil's advocate here, or I guess the dissenting opinion, and I think that's another show of archaic thinking out of Sony that we've been seeing.
I agree. I don't think that's
second
going
half
to work
of this last generation.
Right.
Yeah. I don't think it's going to work.
Going to find it's not going to work out well for them, and they're going to find that Microsoft is going to, what Microsoft's eventually going to do is they're going to start quoting game sales on both PC and Xbox, and those are going to start dwarfing Sony sales, and Sony's going to have to respond.
It's true.
Possibly.
Yeah. And not to mention, if Sony sees these games do well on PC, but don't see the transfer rate to getting those PS5 hardware sales, maybe that will bring them to make the right decision and say, okay, if it's not working this way, at least we can make money on software sales. Bring everything to PC too. Especially if they have the pipeline to do that.
So far, they've been doing it through Steam, right? They don't have their own platform on PC.
No, I think that there was a game that they put on the Epic Game Store as well.
Right, but there's no Sony, they're still going to be paying somebody their cut.
Launcher.
Yeah, no, there's no Sony PC store. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. And I think anything, they definitely do not bring day and date titles to PC until they have that sorted out. They're not going to start, I think we were talking about it a little bit in regards to I don't remember who it was. Square has no problem. Oh, it was WoW. Why is WoW not on consoles? And that's because Blizzard Activision has an entire history of the entire company of never paying anybody else extra money. All that money always goes in their pocket. Square doesn't mind probably paying Sony their cut or Steam their cut or whatever, because Square has constantly made their entire fortune off of other people's platforms and having to pay that extra money.
Yep.
And so it's also, there's just that to consider too, as far as why might they be hesitant on PC. It's well, they just don't have an infrastructure. How do they deliver? They've never done it, and that takes a really long time to get up and running. Well, you can do it really quick, like Epic did, and everyone can hate you for it and want you to burn in a fire because you're not Steam. So,
that's a leg up that Microsoft has on Sony.
Huge,
in that
enormous.
Ecosystem. The Microsoft Game Store exists on both Xbox and PCs.
I wish it was on Switch.
Yeah, me too. Jason, you mentioned, or we talked about wanting to appease that fan base, and I think something worth talking about here is cross-gen. 360 to Xbox One, PS3 to PS4. We saw a bit of cross-gen. I remember, and we saw a lot of remakes. Following the generational jump. Your GTA 5 remake, your Skyrim special edition.
Yeah.
Destiny, kind of I think simultaneously or released shortly before the gen, and then very quickly released on the Xbox One and the PS4. How long do you think, because of that fact that they're going to want to hold on to that install base, and right now it could be a while before supply is able to meet demand on people wanting to go next gen or current gen or whatever you want to call it? How long do you think we're going to see this cross-gen play out, and how much of a permanent feature do you think that's going to be in next generational updates?
Well, I don't think the supply chain problems are projected to resolve before middle of 2022, and that does keep pushing out because at one time it was supposed to be solved fall of 2021.
I think Intel is saying 23 now.
Really? Okay.
2023.
So it continually gets pushed out, right? So
we'll be dead.
Think they're gonna
and I just pushed it out to 2024 just this moment.
You heard it here, folks.
So I think in a way, they're gonna have to make up for some of that because they can't rely solely on the next generation install base, and it's not for lack of demand, like you say. So I think that we're gonna continue to see some of this be cross-generational, which might hold back some of the titles in terms of ambition. We'll just have to see how that all shakes out. But then, even like we alluded to earlier, I think with development being easier and more scalable than ever before, and especially with things like Unreal Engine 5, I see no reason why even moving forward, we won't see that percentage of cross-gen releases increase even more than it already is, just because of the flexibility of the technology. And I don't think that's a bad thing, because then you get things like the Steam Deck. And so you can have this awesome thing that you can play on the latest and greatest GPU, but it doesn't necessarily prevent someone who owns a lesser hardware to experience the game as well, maybe in a slightly different way. So,
Well said.
Yeah.
So yeah, I fully agree. I think you're going to start. I think you're going to see for this gen at a minimum. I'm going to say maybe 3 years of the cross gen being a pretty heavy presence, and
Yeah.
I think you're going to see comparative on each generation going forward of a long tail of between the two. And I agree. I don't think that's a bad thing. If anything, it gives people who, as the new consoles come out, people who want to get into gaming but can't quite afford to be current gen can buy the last gen and still play the next, the up and coming current greatest games.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore can be current and in the media.
Yeah, we've got a couple games we know coming out to PS5. They didn't call it State of Play, they call it something else. The one that had Wolverine and Spider-Man 2 and all that really cool stuff. Both those games are PS5 exclusives. They will not at least as of now. They said that about a couple of the other ones too, but those are pretty far off, so I believe them this time at least. So Spider-Man and Wolverine are both like minimum of 2 years away, which would track with what you said just now about 3 years.
But also keeping in mind for Sony, like, it's okay if they take a little bit of hit, because I think they're hoping to push the needle on hardware sales by making, and they can control that by making this a PS5 exclusive, whereas other developers don't have the same incentives to do that.
You also don't want it's a dangerous game. For now, it's fine, but it becomes a dangerous game to play, because what happens is it's the game you always play with a bad sequel. It's like, okay, well, Spider-Man 2 sold really well because of how well Spider-Man 1 sold, but it sucked, and so Spider-Man 3 is going to not sell as well. Spider-Man's a terrible example because Spider-Man will always sell, but you know what I'm saying. It happened with Assassin's Creed after Unity, or because of the one before Unity, or something like that. It just tanked.
Three wasn't great. 4 was, everyone loved ship combat, and then things continued to go downhill.
Right, and so it suffered after the fact. Like, one of them was still setting records even though everybody hated it, and then after the fact, the next one didn't do well.
I think Unity set records, and then Syndicate did terrible, and then they were like, hey, we're going to stop for a couple years and rethink this. And
so the same thing can happen if the game's fine, but let's say God of War 3 for some reason, although there's not going to be a 3, but again, let's pretend there was going to be a third one, God of War Ragnarok Plus is still on PS4 for some reason. I don't want to play another game restricted by the like, I want to see more. I want to see what SSDs can do for that series. I want to see better lighting. I want to see the Leviathan Axe in all its amazing PS5 glory. The next one after that might not do so well in critical acclaim, which is super important for these first party IPs. Much like Oscar bait type movies, like you make your movies that make your money, and then you make your movies that rake in everybody just going gaga over it, even if it doesn't have as big of a return. And so you have to be careful about not doing this for too long, unless you're somebody like Activision and you want Call of Duty on literally everything, including phones, and then it just doesn't matter.
You got to be the best selling game of year every year.
Right. Doesn't matter how good it is.
Robert, what do you think?
I've agreed with everything you said. It's like I'm best friends with you guys or something. God,
we're so smart too. So smart.
But no, I think that the cross generational thing is eventually going to come down to money. What can a company squeeze out of people, and in the long run, what's going to make them the most money, and what they think will, not what will.
Agreed.
But I guess the final thing here is how sad are we that we don't have these kind of big deal generational jumps anymore, and don't think that we'll be having them in the future.
I'm kind of sad, but I also got that feeling again when the Switch came out, and that certainly wasn't pushing barriers in the hardware or in the fidelity aspect, but that portability was amazing, and that's given way to the Steam Deck. and I am super stoked about the Steam Deck, and I imagine I'll feel similarly about it as long as it doesn't crash and burn, you know, when it launches, which I really don't think it will. I think it's going to be okay, but you know, I'll hold my breath. So there's always, and VR could have been amazing. I was super excited for VR.
It still could be.
It still could be. It still could be amazing, but I was super excited to play it, and I didn't end up loving it nearly as much as I wanted to, and it was always going to be a really super expensive investment, so I obviously wasn't going to jump in with both feet. But I played it at Jason's and another friend's, and like, this is really good. I wish there was more to it, and I wish it didn't make me feel like this. I don't handle it very well. I can only play about 30 to 60 minutes, whether it's teleport or freeform or whatever. And I'm trying to imagine the games that I play and I like, and not to get on a VR tangent, but like, there is room in the video game space still to make me feel that way. It's just not going to be something I'm expecting. It's not going to be graphical leaps anymore. There will never be Mario 64 the way I remember it anyway. It's always gonna be just something totally different.
I think the return on investment for graphics having a wow factor has diminished to the point where it's not going to do that anymore.
Yeah, well, diminishing returns.
Yeah, it could, but the problem is everything's too expensive now, and the profits still need to be the same. And like, you know, but you can only take a loss so much for so long, and that's like, this box could have been $800 and it would have blown our minds, but then nobody would have bought it. It would have been the PS3 all over again.
Yeah.
It's got to be affordable.
Yep. So, can I put a point on what you said, Karch? I totally agree. I'm looking forward to the fact that we've hit this wall does make me a little bit sad, but the fact that it's going to push innovation in other ways makes me excited.
Let's try the Wii Mode again. You know, let's bring back like half-baked motion controls. I think that's a good idea.
I like it.
But this time, just do a sword. Let's not beat around the bush. Okay?
Yeah, there you go. An entire system revolved around having a sword in one hand and a shield in another, and it can be left or right.
Yeah, it's like the aim controller with the gun. Yeah,
no guns. Did you hear, Robert? Please repeat to Jason what you said.
No, I said it's like they already have one that's a gun. I'm saying it's like that, but it's a sword.
Okay.
The only projectile should be the sword. Okay.
You shoot the sword, you throw the sword.
See,
exactly.
That's honestly the shocking thing is you would have thought Sony would have gone hard in on motion controls when they saw the TVs that Nintendo was breaking with the Wiimotes, because then they can just sell you more Sony branded TVs.
There you go.
Yeah.
Don't put the warnings in there.
Don't put the wrist straps.
Yeah.
No wrist straps.
Yeah, no wrist straps.
We busted out the Wii U to play the Wii emulation on it, and my daughter was looking at the warning. She's like, "What is that?" And I was like, "Oh, you know, they just tell you to put it on, and that way you don't throw it." It's like, why would you do that? Why would they do? Like, it was just like, it was unfathomable that would happen. Of course, she only plays Harvest Moon, so she doesn't get the Wii bowling. Destruction that we've done, because I did. I broke it. It threw it right straight up to the ceiling, thankfully. Otherwise, it would have broken the TV. That sucker snapped right off.
That's wild.
Yeah, those early wrist straps. That was a pretty thin bit of cord.
It was.
Any gamer worth their salt can tell you if a controller is traveling at momentum, it's because you want it to.
Yeah.
You don't accidentally drop a controller. You throw that shit against the wall. That's right.
I was playing the win.
The fact that this podcast has had non-reoccurring engineering and momentum in it has clearly indicated we've gone far too deep down technical and math and physics terms.
No, this is what they come for.
This is what all 65 of those lovely interfaces come for.
So I will share my final thought on this to people who don't think we've had a legitimate next gen. I will simply point out that you're about to get another edition of Skyrim, and nothing indicates that you're on a new generation like Skyrim getting released once again.
It's true.
I think you've got us all there.
You know what I will say? Like, I don't mind all these like your Skyrims and your GTAs getting their bumps, but like, figure out a way to do that faster, please. Like, I mean, Square did a pretty good job of making sure the Final Fantasy VII one was up pretty quick. That still took till like June though. And technically, the DLC was PS5 only, so that was exclusive. That was a next-gen DLC.
True.
But yeah, like,
next-gen Yuffie.
Like you said, Xbox was doing a good job. PS5, not doing such a great job on making sure that like old games play better on this cool new hardware.
Mm.
And I want it.
And that's the thing is I do think we're kind of getting to the point where upgrading your generation is going to feel more like improving a part on your PC. You're just going to get kind of better performance for what you already got for a little while, and then eventually you'll be able to get some things that actually make full advantage of that improved power.
I want things to utilize that SSD more too, because like the loading times in Tales were fine, but they could have been better. And the
loading times in Tales were fine on the PS4, so
right, exactly. And I really don't think they would have been different. I think they were like the same across both systems. And I don't think it was like properly utilizing the SSD.
With how long they were on the PS4, you should not have been able to have read anything on your loading screens with an SSD.
Right. Ratchet and Clank sucked.
What?
I just want to get that in there.
Did it really though? I don't
recommend it. I just don't recommend it.
Weird.
If you've played Ratchet and Clank before, don't play this one. If you've never played one, sure, grab it. It's great in that sense, but it is literally, and I typically don't knock games for this. I don't need lots of change. I've been playing 10 Final Fantasies in a row for the last 7 months. But it was just it was dull with nothing new.
I remember this conversation. Now we don't have to rehash it. I do remember this.
But it was next gen. It was next gen only. They couldn't possibly have made this game on old hardware, Jason.
That's the thing. And I think they are forcing the marketing to make it seem like it is, that it has to be next gen. This is it. And it probably worked on some people, but yeah.
I did. So I went out and I bought a PS5. I'm just going to drag this conversation on as long as possible. I went out and bought one. Why did I do that? Why did you do it, Sean?
I think I heard about FPS boosts and I wanted to play Skyrim with more frames.
Fair enough. I just wanted it.
I was deep into the Skyrim at that point.
I mean, mine was partially driven by editing capability because I wanted to, like, it was...
Oh, explain yourself, though. Oh, wait, though you already said you bought the card earlier. That's right.
Yeah, I bought the card. I upgraded from a 1070 to a 3070. So a pretty good upgrade for me. I originally bought the 1070 back in 2017, and I think it was already like a year and a half old when I got it at that point. So this was a really good upgrade for me, but part of it was gaming, obviously. But honestly, I just wanted to be able to render videos more quickly. We use DaVinci Resolve, and I think that's the GPU-oriented render process. And anyway, it's amazing. How much more quickly I can do it now.
My Surface laptop would disagree with you. Jason, Robert, any final thoughts?
Just that we're the best ever.
Yep, pretty much.
I can get down with that.
It's true.
Jason, take us out.
All right, later, Skater. I love this podcast. I love video games, and I love you, 2, 3 lovely NFers. Oh, got me. That's all we have for you this week. You all have a fantastic week. We will try, but we are never free to play.
Bye, everybody.
Goes away soon.
Try eating. It fixes everything.
Makes your face hurt?
Yeah.
It's killing me.
Yeah.
Oh, nice. I forgot about that dad joke. That's amazing.
I was raised on that dad joke.